Hello everyone, welcome to Pro-Am Strings and this violin clinic about how to organise your practice. Our question today comes from Henriette, who is a regular at this channel and she lives in Hungary and who makes a very valid point. Here's her question, let's listen to it.
I'm practicing in the morning and in the evening, and I'm practicing on weekend too. I would like to practice on weekend more time, and I don't know to organize my practicing, what to do in weekdays morning, evening, and what to do in weekends.
And Annika makes a very valid point, which is hugely important to good progress on the violin. How do you organise your practice? Now there are two aspects to it. First of all, how do you organise your practice and make sure that you're going to achieve your shorter term or your longer term goals, and we'll come to think about that in a moment. And then there is the second aspect to this question, which is about how you organise your practice in everyday practice, like what do you practice first and what do you practice afterwards, and why do you do it in that order. So in this video I'm going to try and address both aspects. Before I do that, I'd like you first, if you haven't already done that, to subscribe to this channel. And then secondly, if I want to tell you that if you want to feature with your question in one of these violin clinic videos, then please go ahead, record a short video. You can do that on your phone of no longer than about a minute, where you clearly outline the question, and of course you must be happy for me to pick bits of your video, or all of it, depending on what your question is, and use it in one of these videos that stay on this channel. So let's go ahead and let's answer Anika's question. Now, first of all, when you organise your practice, we want to know what the goal of this practice is. What are you going to achieve in your practice? And it's well worth spending a couple of minutes thinking about what you actually want to achieve with your violin playing. And this is a very individual thing. One person might say, I'm just going to enjoy my playing. I'm going to play all the pieces that I know and I'm going to just enjoy it. Most people, however, would say, I'm going to learn to play the violin, I'm going to do it by myself, and I'm going to do it in the most efficient way. Now, both are equally valid, so one is not better than another, but you want to maybe identify what your individual goal is. So what would you like to learn? And then that needs to be fairly specific. You can't say, I want to be a professional violinist at some point, because that is a too vague a goal to be able to help you with your practice today. So let's think a little bit about goal theory, and I'm not going to go too deeply into it, but there are various well-recognized ways in which you can set your goal so that it's going to help you achieve it. And one way you might be able to set your goal is to set a SMART goal. And this is an acronym, SMART. Your goal, first of all, needs to be specific. So you need to define quite clearly what your goal is going to be. So you target a very particular area of improvement. Secondly, your goal must be measurable. You want to check at the end whether you have achieved your goal or not. So this is another aspect that we're going to incorporate in our practice. Are you better than what you were before? Then our letter A in our SMART goal stands for achievable. It's no use setting yourself a goal that you cannot achieve, and that is part of motivation, and make your goal achievable. So if you are missing one of your strings, for instance, on your violin, you're not going to be able to play that piece because you haven't got the resources right to achieve your goal. So it needs to be achievable as well. Then the letter R in our SMART goal stands for it needs to be realistic, and this is what I've already said. When you are a complete beginner, it is no use setting yourself a goal to be able to play the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto. That may be what you envisage to do in the long term, but as a goal, it is not realistic to set it at this stage. So your goal must be a result that you want to achieve within a realistic time frame. And then the T in the word SMART stands for timely. You also want to define in what sort of timescale you're going to achieve your goal. And that is quite good, because we don't want to start drifting and thinking, oh, I'll reach my goal in February. Oh, February's not really worked. I'm going to reach it in March. March is very busy. Perhaps I'll achieve my goal in April. You see, that is not how goals and targets work. Now, having said all of that, you want to transform your goal into a time frame. How are you going to achieve it? And what am I going to do on a daily basis to try and achieve my goal? Now, the easiest way to do that, I have found, is there are downloadable practice charts, online calendars, task planner, people call it as well. You can just download them from the internet, and it gives you a day-to-day overview, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day of the week, and at the weekends, and you can fill it in. And that, of course, I can't do for you because I don't know what your schedules are, but you know that you can practice maybe in the morning on some days and in the evening on other days. And some people have more time at weekends, other people have less time at weekends. So sit yourself down for a couple of minutes and fill in this practice chart, as I will call it from now on, so that you can actually specify when you're going to work towards your goal. Now, this is also something to do with when you learn best, and people have individual learning styles. Some people might say, oh, I learn much better in the afternoon, whereas others might be much fresher in the morning. So you might take that into account as well, and think for yourself too about whether you like to practice in very short bursts of time. And I would be one of those people, so I'd much rather did 15 minutes, then took a break and did another 15 minutes. And other people might say, oh, I really need some time to get going, so I work the best once I'm into it, and I'm sort of starting my first half hour freewheeling a little bit, and then my brain is in the right space to really get down to the nitty-gritty of what I want to achieve. So that is a very individual thing, and I can't give you specific guidelines for that. The one thing I would say is that when you practice, you might define your practice times in such a way that you stop your practice before you get tired. And one of the indicators of that is usually, for me personally, when I start to think of other tasks that I need to do, like walk the dog or go shopping or meet up with a friend, that sort of thing. If you feel your thoughts drifting, then you have probably practiced beyond the time where you practice most efficiently. Then what you also want to build into this practice routine is that you review your practice, and that you review if you are making progress towards your goal. Because it's no use practicing for 6 months and then by the end of it thinking, actually, I have drifted off course. I am not actually working towards my goal. So that is something as well that you want to maybe on a weekly basis think, have I got better at this piece? Yes. What can I still do next week to improve this piece? And that brings us to our next section in this video, is how am I going to organize every individual practice session to work towards this goal. But before I do that, I'll show you an overview of all the things that we have discussed so far. I'll just hold it up to the camera like this, and if you find that useful, you might take a screenshot or a photograph of it. Right, once you've got that, let's think about how you can organize each individual practice, because that is another aspect of good and efficient practicing, is how do I structure each individual practice session? First of all, we need to think about how long your practice sessions are, and when you're a complete beginner, you might start with practice sessions that are about 10 to 15 minutes long, and then as you progress, you might incrementally increase your practice time by 15 minutes. So a very beginner practices maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Somebody who's been playing already for a couple of weeks might go towards half an hour. And somebody who has been playing for a year might be thinking, more towards 45 minutes to an hour. People at music college practice many hours every day, so you can see the progress as your repertoire grows as well. You'll find that you won't get everything done in 15 minutes or in half an hour, so you will automatically already practice for longer chunks of time. And again, that is a very individual thing, and it depends both on your stamina but also on the time available. So the first thing that you might do when you start your practice is to warm up. And for some people the warm up is simply tuning their violin, but also playing open strings is a very, very useful warm up. Not only for beginners but also for more advanced players. It's ever so useful to warm up going over open string bowing, straight bowing, checking all your violin hold and your bow hold and so on, just getting everything just right. And that is a very useful way to warm up and to get you in the right mindset for your practice. Then I'd suggest you do your technical exercises, so your scales and maybe some exercises, some bow exercises or left hand exercises, whatever is on the menu at the level that you're playing at. And you want to try to integrate those technical exercises with the performance repertoire that you're playing. So if you are playing your piece in the key of D major, it makes perfect sense to play a D major scale and the bowing technique that you use your D major scale in your piece with as your technical exercises. So if you can establish a relationship between your technical exercises and your performance piece, that's even better, because the two are going to reinforce each other. Then once you've finished your technical exercises, then it's time for your performance pieces. And I always like to give my pupils 2 contrasting pieces at least to play. By the time they get a little bit more advanced, it becomes very quickly 3 different performance pieces, just to have a varied repertoire, and that usually spices up the practice a little bit, because one day you feel more like playing piece A and the next day you're more inclined to start on piece B, and that's completely up to you where your personal preferences lie. Then of course, in my view, every practice session should also include a bit of fun. So if you have a favourite piece, then that is the time to play your fun piece to play. So that is something, a fun piece. Of course your performance pieces hopefully should also be fun pieces to play, but a fun piece is your go-to piece. If you really want to indulge in your playing and really enjoy it, then you go to your, what I call your fun piece, and that might be anything that you just love to play. Now at the end of your practice session, I always suggest to people to play old pieces that you already know, and that consolidation phase, as it's called, is so useful for getting flexibility in your playing and to gaining momentum in your practice. Is just going over pieces that you've learned in the past, first of all so that you don't forget them, but secondly to just become more flexible and more able to play those. So let me hold up this overview as well, and feel free to take a screenshot or a picture of it. There we go. And once you've tried this for a couple of weeks, you might write underneath this video in the comment section if anything of this information has been useful to you. The reason why I'm putting this violin clinic series of videos on my channel is to connect with you, my audience, more deeply. So one of the ways that I want to connect with my audience more deeply is these videos, but another way is the membership that this channel offers. And when you become a member of Henriette's Violin Club, not only do you get special badges and special emojis to use in your comments, you also get preferential treatment when it comes to comments, and the video that completely outlines all that the membership entails should pop up on your screen right now. So why don't you check it right now and find out more about what membership actually is. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Goodbye.